Texas recorded more foreclosure starts in the first quarter of 2026 than any other state in America. Not Florida, not California, Texas. For years, Texas was the answer. No state income tax, new construction everywhere, and a housing market that seemed immune to the corrections hitting the coasts. It was the smartest move in American real estate. But here is what they are not telling you. Today, we count down the 10 Texas cities where the housing correction has turned into something much harder to ignore. And number 1 may not be the city you expect. Subscribe now so you never miss the next housing warning. Statewide, the 2 biggest home value trackers in the country cannot even agree on which direction Texas is moving. Zillow says prices are falling. Redfin says they are rising. Somewhere between those 2 numbers are 10 real cities with real people watching their biggest investment do something nobody warned them about. Let's start with the lightest damage on the list and work our way up to the city nobody saw coming. Drive through a McKinney subdivision on a weekday morning, and you will see freshly poured sidewalks, 3-car garages, and streetlights still wrapped in plastic. Somewhere, a lawn sprinkler ticks over grass that was sawed 2 months ago. It looks like the American dream straight out of the box. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. McKinney was one of the fastest permitting cities in Texas during the pandemic boom. And now it is working through that oversupply 1 price cut at a time. The moving trucks slowed down. The for sale signs did not. The reason is simple. Statewide inventory in Texas has nearly doubled since the 2021 and 2022 frenzy, according to the Texas Real Estate Research Center. McKinney built like the boom would never end. It ended. Local agents described the same scene on repeat buyers walking into builder sales offices and getting handed incentive packages worth tens of thousands of dollars concessions that would have been unthinkable 2 years ago, back when a house could sell before the drywall even went up. If you bought new construction in McKinney near the top of the market, here is what happened to your money. Builders across the Dallas-Fort Worth area are now offering incentives of up to $125,000 on unsold inventory homes on the exact same floor plans early buyers paid full price for. You bought new construction in McKinney to get in early. The builder next door is now selling the same floor plan for less. How does that make you feel about getting in early? Frisco sells itself as the crown jewel of the Metroplex glass office, towers a pro sports complex. And neighborhoods so new, the paint still smells fresh. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. Home values here were down roughly 1.3% over the past year. And according to local market analysis, Frisco sits inside a broader Collin County region alongside Plano and Prosper, where values have fallen as much as 6.1%. The cause traces back to the same story playing out across North Texas. Communities like Frisco, Plano, and Prosper saw record-breaking permit activity during the pandemic years. That supply is still working its way through the market. Sellers here describe a familiar frustration sitting on the market far longer than expected, watching brand new inventory down the street undercut their asking price week after week, and wondering when the next builder discount will make their own listing look overpriced by comparison. If you bought in Frisco near the 2022 peak at around $650,000, here is what happened to your money. Using that regional 6.1% decline as a guide, that same home could be worth roughly $40,000 less today. If Collin County home values have already fallen 6% and builders are still building, what happens to your equity when that supply finally catches up to demand? Houston does not do subtle. Refineries glow on the horizon, freeways stack 8 lanes wide, and the humidity hits you before you even open the car door. For years, this city sold itself as the affordable big city alternative to Austin and Dallas. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. Houston home prices look almost flat down, just 0.4% according to Zillow. Flat numbers make for calm headlines. They do not make for calm balance sheets. According to Atom Data Solutions, Houston led every metro in Texas for completed bank repossessions in January of 2026. With 152 homes going back to lenders in a single month. The disconnect traces back to a broader pattern across Texas: elevated inventory. And according to reporting from Marketplace and Houston Public Media Job, growth described as weak across the state's largest metros, a combination that leaves lenders far less patient with buyers who fall behind. Sellers across the metro describe cutting their price just to get a single showing, scheduled an average reduction of $15,000 or 4.2% off the original asking price this spring, according to listing data from that same period. If you bought here with a thin margin, here is what happened to your money. Somewhere across the Houston metro, 152 families lost their homes to the bank in a single month, while the headline price barely moved an inch. Houston's prices look calm on paper. So why did more homes get repossessed by banks here in January than anywhere else in the state? Fort Worth still has its cowboy swagger cattle drives downtown, brick warehouses turned lofts, a skyline that looks stable and unshaken. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. Nobody can agree on how bad it actually is. Redfin says Fort Worth home prices are nearly flat over the past 3 months. Zillow says home values are down more than 5% over the past year. According to the Texas Real Estate Research Center, homes across North Texas are sitting on the market noticeably longer than they were a year ago, a sign that something is shifting, even if the exact number is in dispute. Whichever figure you believe, the underlying signal is the same. Buyers have stopped rushing and sellers have stopped controlling the conversation. A growing number of Fort Worth sellers report feeling blindsided, watching their agent pull up 2 different valuation tools that tell 2 completely different stories about the same house. One tool says, relax. The other says, panic. Most sellers end up doing both. If you bought here recently and lean on Zillow's estimate, here is what happened to your money. A $338,000 home, down 5.2%, has lost around $17,500 on paper, though Redfin's own number would tell you almost nothing changed at all. 2 different data providers cannot agree on whether your home is down 1% or 5%. How confident are you in your own home's value right now? If this is hitting close to home, hit subscribe. We cover these markets every week so you can stay ahead of what is coming. Dallas glitters at night, the Reunion Tower ball glowing red glass towers stacked against a flat horizon. A skyline built to look like money never stops flowing. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. By April of 2026, just over half of all home sellers in Dallas, 50.5%, had cut their asking price up from 47.3% in February, according to Redfin. The picture gets murkier from there. Zillow says Dallas home values are down 4.6% over the past year. Redfin's own 3-month figure shows prices up nearly 10%. Even the data providers cannot agree. What both trackers do agree on is the volume of price cuts, and volume, unlike an average, is hard to spin. The underlying cause is the same one hitting the rest of North Texas. Statewide inventory has nearly doubled since the pandemic peak, and job growth has cooled enough that fewer buyers are willing to stretch for a Dallas mortgage. Sellers describe it as chasing a moving target, resetting the price again and again, watching the days on market counterclimb, while buyers simply wait them out in no hurry at all. Some have relisted 3 times since January, each time a little lower, each time a little more frustrated. If you listed your Dallas home this spring, here is what happened to your money before you even found a buyer. Sellers who cut their price gave up an average of $12,500 just to get someone through the door. More than half of your neighbors trying to sell in Dallas had to cut their price. What makes you think you will be the exception? Plano was supposed to be the safe one, corporate headquarters, top-rated schools, the kind of Dallas suburb parents move to and never leave. Manicured lawns, cul-de-sacs, a minivan, in every driveway the picture of stability, at least from the street. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to local reporting, the typical Plano homeowner selling in early 2026 is taking a $27,000 hit compared to what they expected to get. Homes here are now sitting on the market for 47 days on average compared to just 34 days a year ago. That is not a blip. That is buyers taking their time because for the first time in years they can. Local agents describe the pattern on repeat sellers starting high waiting, then cutting again and again as the listing grows stale, and buyers start to smell the desperation behind the price tag. If you bought in Plano expecting 2022 prices to hold here, is what happened to your money. The typical seller here is walking away $27,000 short of what they thought this house was worth. The typical Plano seller is walking away $27,000 short of what they expected. Is your asking price built on 2022 math or 2026 reality? Round Rock built its entire identity on being the smart move, Austin's charm. Austin's job market without Austin's price tag. New subdivisions still carry names like Sunset Ridge and Heritage Trails, streets lined with young trees still staked to the ground. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin's May 2026, data around Rock home prices fell 6.3% over the past year, with homes now sitting on the market 59 days compared to 53 days a year ago. The reason is not a mystery. The very migration that built Round Rock priced out Austin buyers fleeing north for something cheaper has slowed to a trickle as fewer people move to Texas overall. Homeowners who fled Austin's high prices for Round Rock describe watching their new suburb fall almost as fast as the city they left behind. The safety net was not as strong as the listing brochure promised. If you bought here about a year ago at roughly $394,900, here is what happened to your money. That same home is worth around $370,000 today. That is nearly $25,000 gone in 12 months. You moved to Round Rock because Austin got too expensive. Now Round Rock is falling almost as fast. Where do you go next? San Antonio feels calm on the surface, the Riverwalk humming with tourists, the median price holding steady nothing that looks like a crisis. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin, 58.7% of San Antonio home sellers cut their asking price by April of 2026, the highest share of any major metro in the entire United States. Pauses. Not Florida, not California, San Antonio. One market report even shows San Antonio's median price ticking up 4.5% this year. Another shows it slipping. The average cannot decide whether San Antonio is winning or losing, but the sellers already know. The reason is simple math. This is now one of the strongest buyers' markets in the country, with roughly twice as many sellers as buyers competing for the same shrinking pool of offers. Sellers who priced their home for last year's market are finding out one showing at a time that last year's market is gone. Sellers across San Antonio describe the same exhausting cycle, listing at last year's price, waiting, panicking, and cutting, sometimes more than once, just to get a single showing scheduled on the calendar. If you listed your San Antonio home this spring, here is what happened to your money. Sellers who cut their price in March gave up an average of $18,000, or 5.2% off their original ask. Nearly 6 in 10 San Antonio sellers are cutting their price right now, while the average price still looks stable. Which number do you trust? Drive down South Congress, and Austin still performs the part. Food trucks, live music spilling out of every doorway, tech workers with laptops open on sunny patios. This was supposed to be the city that never stopped rising. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Zillow Austin, home values are down 6.8% over the past year. And according to one analysis of foreclosure data filings in Austin, spiked 199% in a single month this April, the largest year-over-year jump of any city in the country. The cause is layered. Job growth across Austin has been described as weak, with tech layoffs shaking buyer confidence, while the migration that fueled the boom has slowed sharply, according to reporting from Marketplace and Houston public media. The city that convinced a generation to relocate for opportunity is now the city where that same opportunity looks a lot less certain. One housing data analysis found that roughly 9.2% of Austin mortgages are underwater, more than 4 times the national average. And among buyers who purchased with FHA loans in 2022, that figure climbs to around 65%. A growing number of Austin buyers report waiting on the sidelines for further price drops, frustrated that falling prices are being offset by mortgage rates that refuse to come down, while longtime residents debate whether the tech layoffs are a temporary dip or the start of something worse. If you bought your Austin home with an FHA loan near the 2022 peak, here is what happened to your money. Multiple market trackers estimate the typical Austin home has lost somewhere between 25 and 28% of its value since that peak. If you bought your Austin home with an FHA loan in 2022, there is roughly a 2 in 3 chance you are underwater right now. Did anyone tell you that when you signed? Nobody makes a documentary about Pflugerville. It is the quiet Austin suburb with the strip malls and the good school ratings, the place people moved when even Round Rock started to feel too expensive. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin's May 2026 data, Pflugerville home prices fell 8.8% over the past year, the steepest decline of any city on this entire list. Drawn out, steeper than Austin, steeper than San Antonio, steeper than all of it. Round Rock fell 6.3%, Austin fell 6.8%, Pflugerville fell 8.8%, the sharpest one-year drop of any city in this entire countdown, in a suburb most national outlets have never even mentioned. The reason comes back to the same story, playing out across the region. The flow of buyers escaping Austin has slowed to a fraction of what it once was. And Pflugerville built its entire boom on catching that overflow. When the overflow stops, the town built to catch, it has nowhere left to hide. A growing number of homeowners here report a quiet sense of disbelief. They left Austin specifically to avoid this, and the crash found them anyway. If you bought the median home in Pflugerville about a year ago, here is what happened to your money. You paid roughly $394,700. That same home is worth $360,000 today. That is nearly $35,000 gone in 12 months. Nobody warned you about Pflugerville. It was supposed to be the safe, affordable suburb. So why is it falling faster than Austin itself? 10 cities, 10 different stories, one pattern underneath all of it. And if you have felt uneasy about Texas real estate for a while now, this is the part where that feeling gets confirmed. The cities that sold Texas as the escape route from expensive coastal markets, the no-income tax dream, the endless new construction, the suburbs marketed as the affordable alternative, are now leading the nation in foreclosure starts and price cuts. The famous cities get the headlines. But it was the suburb nobody was watching that fell the fastest. The data does not care which city has the best marketing. Nearly 6 in 10 sellers in San Antonio cut their price. Foreclosure filings in Austin spiked 199% in a single month. Texas, as a state, led the entire country in foreclosure starts. This was never just a Sun Belt story about Florida or California. It was happening here, too quietly and faster than almost anyone was tracking. And here is the twist underneath the twist. Zillow says Texas home values are down statewide. Redfin says they are up. Two of the biggest home value trackers in the country looking at the same state. And they cannot agree on which direction it is even moving. If the experts cannot settle on a number, what exactly is your real estate agent telling you when they say your home is holding steady? That confusion is not an accident of methodology. It is what a market looks like in the exact moment it changes direction, and nobody has agreed on the new direction yet. The warning signs were always there. The question is, were you watching? This video is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial or real estate advice. Always consult a licensed professional before making any investment decisions. Subscribe, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and drop your city in the comments below.